Well, we finally have a day of peaceful weather, but unfortunately, that's not going to last for very long. Emergency crews are preparing for the next round of wind, rain, and snow. Tonight, I visited the Cosumnes Fire Department, who is staffing up, and they were one of the areas that was already one of the hardest hit. On the night of the New Year's Eve storm, approximately how many calls came through just on the county lines?
Just on the county line on New Year's Eve, I think it was about 1,000 calls, and on New Year's Day, around 900 calls. In our normal days, it's about 500 calls.
You guys were prepared for a storm, but this was much bigger than that.
Yes, the emergency crews were not expecting to get dispatched to Highway 99, one of our major thoroughfares through our district, to be experiencing floodwaters that were flowing and moving like at the speed of a river.
Command Truck 65. Both victims are denying any.
The crews experienced driving through major floodwaters. The roadway was moving. There were people standing on their cars were drifting. There were people everywhere. There were people that had been out of their cars and moved and swept and were able to find higher ground. So our crews were going and getting people, putting them in our emergency vehicle, getting them to safety, and then turning right around and going right back out to rescue more people. With approximately at least 50 cars that had been rescued from.
In your years of experience, have you ever seen Highway 99 and or Dillard Road look like this?
I've never seen, I've worked here 24 years and I've never seen floodwaters to this level. We experienced more floodwaters, more pooling and stagnant waters where it's more deep in certain low-lying areas, but not where it is flowing like a river across major road systems.
Anything else you think people should know?
I think that preparedness is something that we should make sure that people are aware of, like being prepared with food, water, make sure your generator is fueled.
All right, Carly, so everyone is preparing, including yourself, tracking all this. How are we looking right now, though?
You know, we got that nice break today, so everyone's pretty happy about that. Even saw a little bit of sunshine, so that was great. But you can see just offshore some of that rain already arriving to the northwest of the state. We're getting mostly cloudy skies right now, and then the rain expected to arrive early tomorrow morning and then continue on through at least almost Wednesday. So a lot of rain headed our way. We actually have two systems here, one to the north and this low pressure circulating here that's bringing in the rain that comes in tomorrow morning. So we're tracking that. After this one, we have another one just coming in offshore. That'll bring in another atmospheric river. Pretty strong one, in fact, as we move from Monday to Tuesday. So get ready for a lot of rain still headed our way. Temperatures in the overnight hours are expected to remain right around 50 degrees or so with rain early morning. It's calm now, but the winds will pick up. I'm talking 20 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds. We do have a wind advisory in effect Saturday to Sunday with that heavy rain rolling through along that cold front. We will see some strong winds and very solid downpours coming in from Saturday night into early Sunday morning. That means we are looking at a lot of the rivers here reaching monitor stage because of how much rain is coming. Just take a look at some of the forecasts here. Now, I want to point out that the Cosumnes River as well as the McCollum River, this should be in red now because this just changed from the forecast to be above flooding level. So that's 19 feet there. And then take a look at that, 14.9 feet. We're looking at Yuba River and the Sacramento River as well, where we're seeing the forecast there to be close to flood stage. So that's where we get a little scary here as we start rolling through the next two more storm systems moving in tomorrow.
Now, Carly, a lot of people online are talking about this water and how much we're releasing from our reservoirs, even though we're in a drought. One viewer even wrote in and he was asking us in part, why does it seem that the DWR is releasing more water than necessary from our dams? By what measure does the DWR determine how much water to release? And what actions are being taken to reserve the released water for our future use?
Yeah, it's a very, very complicated question. It's not just answered by one sentence or two. I mean, it involves a lot of agencies and it's a huge balancing act. So the question is, why are we releasing water when we need it? Well, the truth is there's a lot of neighborhoods right around these rivers, these dams, that if we don't release it, these neighborhoods will be underwater. We've already seen it earlier in the week. New Year's Eve storm. just the levees couldn't hold on. So we need to release water. The problem is, right now, the Department of Water Resources, they have the California Water Project, and that project, well, it's supposed to bring in a lot of more resources really for the underground water to build an infrastructure to hold more water. We just don't have that right now. So that's the big problem. We may have funding and it's holding on to that funding, but building the actual underground, I should say, water basin, that's going to take a lot of time, money, and of course resources that it's just not keeping up with how much water we're getting right now.
Yeah, and we also reached out to the Department of Water Resources, and they referred us to a video that you can find on our website. It's listed on your screen right now. And they also told us that they are dealing with a flood emergency and a drought emergency at the same time, right?
At the same time, how much water to release to make sure our neighborhoods are safe, but at the same time, we still want to hold on to water, and that's the problem. Where do we store it?
Yep. All right, Carly, thank you so much. Of course, we will continue to monitor this. All right, all this water has been devastating for some of our neighbors, and this is what it looked like in El Dorado County earlier this week. The New Year's storm flooded roads in and near Cameron Park, forcing evacuations. And we're getting a firsthand look at the damage this water caused in people's homes. Companies, of course, are getting the calls for help, and Laura Painter followed along with them as one of them works in these homes just to make them livable again.
Desperately trying to dry out from back-to-back storms. Neighbors in Shingle Springs have been working for days to clean up this mess caused by recent flooding.
How high did the water come up?
So it was about a foot and a half high, and now this is showing me that this wall is still saturated.
This home suffered inches of flooding. Imagine water in this river was so high from back-to-back storms, it came up over this street, pushed its way into these homes, flooding several inches inside, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage. We're not just talking about the walls. The pool is full of muddy water, landscaping is damaged, and the team tells us the owners might need a whole new kitchen. The 5-star restoration team tells us the process is lengthy, including drying out the home and tearing up damaged drywall, flooring, and cabinets.
We do our best to absolutely save everything that we can.
Over the weekend, we had about 90 jobs come in between Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and they're still coming in, but we're trying to take care of as many people as we can right now.
They also warn homeowners the hidden dangers of the floodwater itself.
So normal clean water situations, when someone's got a flood, like a broken pipe or something, we can go in and dry out the structure. But this situation, we got contaminants in the water, so we've got to cut things out.
Aaron also recommends you examine your insurance policies carefully. Not all are the same.
Not every situation is going to be covered under your homeowner's policies. This type of situation where you've got groundwater coming in, this will have to have flood insurance to be covered. A normal water damage in a home will be covered if it comes from a toilet overflow or a broken pipe, that sort of thing. But if it's groundwater, water that hits the ground before it comes into the home, they consider that flood.
And most residential flood insurance is provided through the National Flood Insurance Program, which is administered by FEMA. It typically takes about 30 days for it to go into effect. And also, I want to note that we have a whole list of resources to help you deal with the aftermath of the storm. And then again, we're preparing for the next storm too. So just text the word storm to 916-321-3310. We'll send everything straight to your phone. All right, the local legal battles for those who participated in the January 6th Capitol riot continue. We've got an update on where they stand. That's after the break. Governor Gavin Newsom was sworn in for his second term today and celebrated with a self-led march across the Tower Bridge. And he used his inauguration speech to compare California to the rest of the country, saying we have, quote, overcome the destructive impulses of extremism and racism and nativism. Now, the governor chose to hold this ceremony on the day that marks 2 years since rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to overthrow the 2020 presidential election. 6 Northern Californians are either accused or convicted of crimes linked to that riot. Our Becca Habegger has an update on where the cases stand.
Sean McHugh of Auburn is accused of pushing a large metal sign into law enforcement officers and assaulting them with a chemical spray. In court documents, screenshots of video from the January 6th attack show a man prosecutors say is McHugh engaged in these exact activities outside the Capitol. McHugh rejected a plea agreement and has a jury trial set for April, facing 10 charges. In October, his attorney requested to move the trial from D.C. to Northern California. Prosecutors opposed that, saying the U.S. Constitution specifies trials must be held where the alleged crimes took place. The judge has not yet ruled on this request. McHugh's next court appearance is set for February. Tommy Allen of Rockland pleaded guilty back in August, admitting to entering the Senate chamber carrying a U.S. flag and flagpole taken from elsewhere in the Capitol and stealing documents from a desk. As part of a plea agreement, prosecutors dropped the 7 other charges Allen faced. A judge sentenced him in December to 21 months incarceration, followed by 3 years supervised release and a $100 fine. George Riley of Sacramento is accused of entering the Capitol, including then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office, which he describes in a video later posted to Reddit. He faces 5 charges, and his jury trial is set for this upcoming April. Valerie Erke of Colusa County entered a plea agreement in June of 2021, admitting to entering the Capitol building for a short time. A judge sentenced her to 3 years of probation and $500 in restitution. And Ricky Wilden of Oakhurst pleaded guilty in April, admitting to spraying a U.S. Capitol police officer with a chemical irritant and then throwing the canister at officers, as well as entering the Capitol for a little less than 20 minutes. He was sentenced back in August to 2 years in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release and $2,000 in restitution.
We've got more information on the Northern Californians accused or convicted in the January 6th attack. All you have to do is go to abc10.com/to-the-point. After the break, we're hitting the back roads to make some flour the old-fashioned way with a 36-foot tall wheel. All right, we got a little bit of a break from the storm, but what can we expect for the weekend ahead, Carly?
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of rain ahead, not just for the weekend, but even starting off for next week as you're heading back to work and for the kids to school. We're looking at downpours headed our way again. So low pressure system to the north. There is a long cold front associated with that, bringing in some rain right now into the Pacific Northwest as well as the northwest portion of the state. Now, the next low right underneath it, that front's going to start arriving early tomorrow. As we start to see some of that rain arrive first, we're actually going to get some of the strongest winds right around lunchtime into the overnight hours Saturday to Sunday. We do have a wind advisory for that in effect. Let's talk about that. That's going to kick up around 1 p.m. Saturday with the wind advisory, 20 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds. Now, the gusts could get as high as 45 miles per hour. And really, this is spanning all the way from the coastline up toward the foothill spots. And again, we're going to look at that for 24-hour event Saturday to Sunday, lunchtime to lunchtime. The avalanche watch. Now, this is from Sunday to Wednesday. This is a longer time frame here. Gale force winds pushing a lot of unstable snow for that area. So, of course, a dangerous situation with that. Now, the winter storm here that we're looking at is a winter storm warning, a little bit higher in elevation, around 6,500 feet and higher, where you could see 1 to 4 feet expected, 1 to 3 feet this weekend with maybe an additional foot or so from Monday to Tuesday. So that is heavy snow. Now, also taking a look at this flood watch, this is going to be in effect for excessive rain. 4 to 7 inches is possible. The foothills could see 6 to 12 inches. Yes, inches of rainfall from the foothills down, pushing into all those rivers, flooding and really starting to drain out for areas in the valley. Not good news. Now, the winds will start picking up, like I mentioned, Sunday. You're looking at the overnight hours, some of the stronger winds there. And then also picking up once again with the next storm system Monday to Tuesday with 20, 30 mile per hour winds. Some of the gusts, again, 45 miles per hour. So we start to see the arrival early Saturday morning, around 8, 9 a.m., continuing on into your afternoon. But it's really the overnight hours we see the downpours beginning right around 1 a.m. and then continuing to be scattered showers Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Now, we do get a little bit of a break as you get to midday Sunday. You may actually see some sunshine, so that quick drying out trend before Sunday night. We get more rain arriving into Monday. And again, like I mentioned, into Tuesday. So the very small breaks, maybe 6-hour windows to maybe 8-hour window there on Sunday if we're lucky. Again, 2 to 3 feet expected, maybe as high as maybe about 4 feet or so, Twin Bridges. But we are looking at temperatures here right around those mid-50s to upper 50s. Rain will move on. Again, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we get a small break Wednesday into Thursday with rain arriving Thursday night into Friday. So this may be another window for you of opportunity to get some things done. And then by next weekend, we are looking at a lot more rain back in the forecast, and maybe continuing all the way up, as I've seen, maybe up till the 16th of January.
Whew, that's a long time, Carly. All right, it's that time again. We're hitting the back roads. This week, John Bartel is taking us to Napa Valley to see California's oldest working water-powered mill to get a good old taste of the old days.
Before the internal combustion engine and before electric motors were widely in use, it was the water wheel that powered many early machines.
They were the movers of industry, let's say.
Standing at 36 feet tall and turning at a speed of about 6 revolutions per minute is California's oldest working water-powered grist mill.
Well, a grist mill is a mill that was used to grind grain into flour.
Rob Grossi is one of the many caretakers at the Bale Grist Mill State Historic Park in Calistoga. His official title is Historic Millwright, a title that few people in the world hold, and for good reason.
What I've been into since I was a kid, really. But there's not enough money to be made really doing it, so I've always done other jobs for full time. It's been kind of a part-time passion of mine.
It's Rob's job to keep the wooden water wheel and all of its moving parts, well, moving. And it's not an easy task. The historic mill was built in 1846 by a mysterious man by the name of Dr. Edgar Turner Bale.
They really didn't know a lot about him. I mean, there wasn't a lot written about him.
The mysteriousness is the fact that we don't know a whole lot about him.
Yeah, and he died young, too.
What we do know is that Dr. Bale was an English army doctor hired by General Vallejo before California became a state.
He ended up marrying General Vallejo's niece, and consequently he became a Mexican citizen and he got a land grant.
Shortly after Bale got that Mexican land grant and had the grist mill built, the gold rush started and Bale got gold fever.
But he actually went to the gold fields and he came back sick and died.
It was Bale's wife that ended up running the mill after he died in 1849. Then in 1925, the mill became a historic landmark. Since then, the mill's been repaired and restored a number of times, so tourists like me can be put to work grinding grain like it was done in the old days.
There you go. There you go.
That feels just like moving a rock, essentially.
Grist is just another word for grain, and the small hand-crank grist mill gives you an idea of how hard it was to get enough flour to make bread.
The shelf life of flour can be years and years. They only had months. So that's why they came to the mill as often as they did, and they had to grind their grain typically every few months.
Today, we know Napa Valley as wine country, but during the gold rush era, this was the breadbasket of California.
And we had the gold rush, there was a lot of mouths to feed. So the price of flour went way up.
Whoa, this is coming out so much faster.
The giant thinly spaced rock grinders make quick work of turning the hard grain into powder.
It's a very dusty business in here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You have flour boogers all the time.
Yep.
Here, gravity is the workhorse, and it's pretty powerful. The weight of the water turns the wheels, which power the belts, spin the wooden gears, and create a lot of flour.
When these were working commercially, they could produce upwards of 900 pounds an hour.
And watching the wooden mill in work is like stepping back in time.
From the Bale Grist Mill in Calistoga, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads. It's gonna be a long time before I get enough flour to make some bread here.
All right, John Bartel's got a lot more where that came from. Honestly, I'm not even sure when this guy sleeps, but you can catch all of his adventures on abc10.com/backroads. Better yet, you can even text the word backroads to 916-321-3310. We'll send a map straight to your phone. We'll be right back after this. With all the rain and snow hitting Northern California, there has been talk about a so-called mega flood. And I do want to stress, we are not in a mega flood at the moment, but researchers believe due to climate change, California is twice as likely to see catastrophic flooding. So our team of meteorologists produced a 4-part series asking the state's leading water experts about what could happen and how you can prepare for the worst case scenario. You can watch Mega Flood, California's disaster in waiting, online or on the free ABC 10 Plus app. And we'll also have more on the upcoming storm and rising river levels on late news tonight. I hope you have a great weekend. Be safe, stay safe. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. We'll see you next week. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.